Welcome back to Good Day UNA. I'm Morgan Hoover.
And I'm Kobe Vance.
Starting with campus news, increased funding has been recommended to the University of North Alabama from Alabama's continuation of higher education and Governor Kay Ivey. According to the ACHE recommendations on February 5th and Ivey's recent budget recommendations, both recommended UNA for an 8.5% increase, which would raise the university's state appropriation by $2.5 million. Currently, UNA's total funding per full-time student equivalent is ranked 12 out of the 14 public colleges in Alabama, and last when in comparison to similarly sized institutions. And without increased funding, the university could see another rise in tuition. According to the university newspaper, the Florala, President Kenneth Kitts, according to Florala and President Kenneth Kitts, the university is $25 million underfunded each year. Kitts stated the respective Senate and House committees dealing with education trust fund allocations will begin to take up these funding decisions, and it is very likely that additional changes will occur for the next fiscal year.
In a unanimous vote earlier this month, the Florence City Council gifted a portion of land to UNA at the Cox Creek Sports Complex for the relocation of UNA's baseball field, known as Mike D. Lane Field. The ordinance will transfer ownership of the land from the city to the university. Currently, the university plans to create a spring sports complex, which would feature softball, beach volleyball, and baseball. Both of the university softball fields and beach volleyball courts are already located at the Cox Creek location off Fairground Road. The move does come with some opposition, with some residents concerned over the size of the park and the possibility of losing the playground, skate park, and farmers market in the location. But according to Florence attorney and sponsor of the ordinance, Bill Musgrove, the state park and farmers market will be unaffected to the change. The university stated that they have diagrams on what the new baseball stadium would look like, but no further specific details were confirmed.
In entertainment news, an era in the Marvel Cinematic Universe came to an end last weekend with Avengers Endgame, the final installment of the third phase of the Marvel movies. Not only did the series break ground with being one of the largest movie universes in cinema history, but shattered the global box office record with a $1.2 billion opening. Experts believe the film will surpass the current worldwide gross record of $2.066 billion, and that's held by Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and a possible threat for long-running record holders such as Titanic with $2.187 billion, and Avatar, the highest worldwide grossing film at $2.788 billion. Avengers Endgame took the domestic record and Thursday night preview record, again topping Star Wars: The Force Awakens. The film currently sits at a steadily rising $1.519 billion. For more on the Avengers box office hit, we turn to a review by William Prestonberg, local student and film fanatic at the University of North Alabama.
Okay, so before Endgame, chronologically, you got Infinity War that just happened. In our point of view, even though it was like a year ago, Thanos just snapped his finger. And sorry if you haven't seen Infinity War, it's on Netflix, it's your fault. All my favorite characters got dusted. They vanished. Just like that. So heartbroken. Didn't feel so good, Mr. Stark. But a lot of things didn't go the way I expected it to. You kind of just like get let into the scene, I guess, like a week or something. I don't know. After it happened, and then like time starts moving. They are broken, most of them. Some of them find peace. Some of them really don't find peace. For the most part, I was happy. Surprisingly, I didn't cry. Because, like, I don't know, I'm a huge sucker for the Marvel films. They'd be jerking my tears. But it was a really great movie, and I'm excited to see what else Marvel does. There wasn't an in-cut scene, so I was a little upset about that. I'm excited to see Far From Home. But I don't know if they can top this movie. I'm going to see all their movies, I always do. But 8.5, solid, probably 9. Really good movie.
NBC is entering the streaming service with its own streaming service. At the beginning of 2019, NBC announced the free ad-supported streaming service for anyone subscribed to a traditional TV service, with a payment option for those without cable costing around $12 a month. According to the Wall Street Journal, The service will launch in 2020, streaming over 15,000 NBC shows. I'm sorry, 1,500 NBC TV shows, such as Community, Parks and Recreation, Saturday Night Live. Providers such as Netflix and Hulu may be parting with many of its hit NBC shows, such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, and Friends, due to competition with the streaming services. NBC's announcement comes on the wake of another media giants launching their own streaming services, such as Amazon and Disney. NBC expects 30 to 40 million users at the launch of the service and is now in the works of acquiring licenses to their network shows.
Last Wednesday morning, an Alabama Senate committee approved a bill allowing the use of medical marijuana in certain cases. Sponsored by Republican Senator Tim Melson of Florence, the bill would authorize the use of medical marijuana for conditions including addiction, chronic pain, depression, and schizophrenia. If passed, patients would need a prescription from a physician and a second opinion from a specialist in the same field. Melson has advocated for the potential benefits of marijuana and the possibility access to the plant could cut down on opioid use in the state. The bill was approved 6-2 by the Senate Judiciary Committee with 3 abstentions and will be sent to the full Senate for further action.
In more local news, the Florence Recycling Center has updated its sorting system after the city received $480,000 in grants from the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. The new system is expected to increase capacity of the Terrace Street facility. The City of Florence provided 25% of matches through the capital improvements, such as equipment, which helps boost the city's chances of obtaining the grants. According to city spokeswoman Rachel Manzel, Florence has received $2.1 million in grants for its recycling program in the last 10 years, providing equipment, trailers for the Lauderdale County recycling program, and bins at schools. Manzel said during that span, 31,767 tons of material have been recycled, representing $1 million in landfill savings.
Along with Fred's, Lifeway, Coffee Comics Records, Paradox Challenge Rooms is the next local business to be shutting down in 2019. Located on East Mobile Street in downtown Florence, Paradox will be shutting down May 11th, with its last booking at 10 p.m. that night. According to Paradox manager Kaylee Thomas, after owner and operator Michael Butts received a new job offer with a different company, the directors at Paradox headquarters in Tupelo, Mississippi, decided to end operations in its Florence location after a lack of success in obtaining a venue in the Florence Mall. The challenge rooms have been a source of entertainment in downtown Florence for over 2 years, offering rooms like Agent 22, where players were assigned the goal of thwarting a rogue agent, and Saving Carrie, in which players were tasked with saving a kidnapped girl. Thomas told Good Day UNA the location will still be open the first 2 weekends in May, giving customers 4 days in which they can attempt to solve the challenge rooms before they're gone for good.
In more business news, Chick-fil-A in Florence will be hosting a Cookies for a Cause fundraiser throughout the month of May. For every one of the signature cookies, chocolate chunk cookies, sold for the month, 25 cents will be donated to one of 3 charities: Safe Place Domestic Violence Program that serves 6 counties in northwestern Alabama, Cole Kelly, a young boy diagnosed with Diamond-Blackfan amnesia, and DADA2 gene manipulation, and Isaiah Sells, Mission 32, an organization involved with feeding local families. Customers will be allowed to choose which charity to donate to and can donate multiple times to more individual purchases or larger quantity purchases, such as 6-pack of cookies. Currently, management has a goal to sell 500,000 cookies within the month of May and hopes to raise as much money as possible for each organization.
In state news, the Alabama Senate passed a bill by a vote of 21 to 12, which would allow Alabama voters the opportunity to decide whether to amend the state constitution to allow a lottery. The bill is currently being sent to the House of Representatives, where it will face a final vote, which will determine whether the issue will go on to the 2020 presidential and U.S. Senate primary ballots. The bill will allow for a paper-based lottery, excluding video lottery terminals and casino-style gaming and slot machines. Over $166 million is expected to be generated from the new lottery, with money going towards administration and operation of the lottery itself, and the half of the remaining revenues going towards the Alabama Trust Fund to repay transfers made to the State General Fund from 2013 to 2015. The other half is expected to go into the State General Fund. If approved by the House, Alabama voters can expect to see the bill on the ballot on March 3, 2020.
Alabama Senator Bobby Singleton of Greensboro has proposed to rewrite Alabama's marijuana possession laws. An introduced version of Senate Bill 98 would end prison sentences for marijuana possession for less than 2 ounces of the plant. A significant change of the current possession in which the crime and felon is a felon that carries up to 1 to 10 years in prison. The proposed change would also create a system of fines for marijuana possession of less than 1 ounce, charging a person in possession a $250 fine, which would double on the third offense. For a person in possession in the second degree, the bill would change the charge to a Class D felony, which includes from 1 to 5 years in community corrections facility rather than a prison. Singleton stated hopes for the new bill to counter prison overcrowding and lower penalties for nonviolent, petty crimes. Currently, the bill still awaits in vote.
The Satanic Temple has been designated a tax-exempt church by the Internal Revenue Service. According to the Salem, Massachusetts-based religion organization's Instagram account, quote, "For the very first time in history, a satanic organization has been recognized by the United States federal government as being a church," end quote. Confirmed by the Associated Press, the IRS sent a notice to the religious organization communicating the institution's new tax-exempt status, now classified as, quote, church or convention or association of churches. The Satanic Temple is now listed in the IRS database for tax-exempt organizations with confirmation on the IRS website. According to temple officials, this new status will not only give the Satanic Temple eligibility to receive tax-deductible charitable contributions, but will also allow access to the same public spaces as other religious organizations, affirm their standing in court when battling religious discrimination, and enable the organization to apply for faith-based government grants.
Well, hail Satan for that. In more national news, as of last week, the U.S. Senate has reported 695 cases of measles in 22 states since the beginning of 2019. This is the highest amount of cases reported in the 1 year since 1994. According to Dr. Paul Duprex, director of the Center of Vaccine Research at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, no human virus is more infectious than measles. A case anywhere in the country can potentially cause cases everywhere in the country. The Center of Disease Control recommends vaccination for everyone over a year old, with exceptions for people diagnosed with the disease as children whom are immune. Symptoms occur from 10 to 14 days after exposure and may resemble a cold, fever, cough, runny nose, red eyes, and rash. Duprex warned of fatalities due to the outbreak and encourages vaccination. According to the CDC, the vaccine for measles yields 93% effectiveness against the infection and one dose at 97% with a second. No measles deaths have been confirmed so far this year.
In tech news, the first details about Sony's next generation console was revealed in a press release earlier this week. According to the press release, the new console, unofficially titled the PS5, will have backwards compatibility with its predecessor, the PS4, meaning games released on the previous console will be able to play on the new system. The PS5 will reportedly include a solid-state drive, 3D audio, and support PlayStation Virtual Reality, and 8K gameplay. A price is yet to be released, but the new console is expected to release after April 2020.
Last week, Samsung postponed the release of the new Galaxy F Fold foldable smartphone days before the original release. In a statement from Samsung, "We want our customers to have the best experience possible, which is why, after initial feedback, we have decided to delay the release of the category-changing Galaxy Fold to make sure it measures up to the high expectations we know you expect from us. After review of the product's durability failed expectations, Samsung made the decision to halt shipping and delay the release to correct a few flaws. According to the Wall Street Journal, the new phone, priced at $2,000, is expected to hit the shelves in May at the earliest, with a statement from Samsung telling customers to expect a revised update on shipping details in 2 weeks.
In more tech news, we turn to a special interview with Amanda Schofield about digital archiving and how it affects the average person's life.
Here at the University of North Alabama, I work within the UNA Choral Library, and I help to catalog and archive the music that we have there. And it's not an easy task sometimes because we have an extensive collection. To be an archivist is to be someone who actually wants to help preserve history. You want to try to categorize and file away as much as you can for future generations to be able to study from. But the larger your collection, the more necessary a database is, because it's one thing to have, again, 4 to 5 items, but another when you have hundreds, and there are a number of different archivists and historians working on one project. Digitization has become a recent historical tool used. It allows for certain artifacts to continue to live on whereas they might not have been able to before. I know a lot of museums now are actually in the process of digitizing their collections to not only help preserve them, but to make them more accessible to those who aren't unable to view the collection in person. It's important to document not necessarily everything, but it's like with Instagram and Twitter, it shows where you are at a certain time of your life, and it allows you to look back in years to come and see how things were. That's what history is. Yeah, but I know also a lot of people are starting to get back into scrapbooking, which is more physical than just, snapping a picture and posting it on the gram or whatever. And it's those memories that they'll remember most of all because they've actually documented them. And you can show those to your kids one day. It's like, oh yeah, I know, we went to a park on this day and we hiked and we played in the river and all sorts of things like that you may not necessarily have remembered had you not shared it online.
And finally, in international news, Hong Kong man in Causeway Bay, Hong Kong, was beaten by a crowd of moviegoers after yelling "spoiler" the recently released Marvel Avengers Endgame film. Not cool, dude. The final installment of the third phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. According to Taiwanese media, the man was shouting information about key moments in the movie's plot to people waiting in line for the next showing. The moviegoers became too enraged and began to attack the man. The viral picture of the man's incident shows the man seated against the wall while blood runs down his face, but his injuries do not appear serious.
Well, it looks like that's all the time that we have for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Morgan Hoover.
And I'm Kobe Vance.
As always, it's been a good day,
UNA.